6 years ago, our own Leon Bibb had the opportunity to meet the Reagans under what he describes as unusual circumstances. See, Leon had something with him that both the Reagans wanted.
It was the presidential campaign of 1980, and at Cleveland Airport, I interviewed Ronald Reagan and his wife, Nancy Reagan. Republican Reagan was campaigning against President Jimmy Carter. That day, a woman called me, saying 4 years before, she had made a campaign spot for Carter's Democratic presidential bid. The woman was an Ohio coal mine owner who wanted to meet Reagan and now make a spot for the Republican side. I sensed a story. I called Reagan headquarters and requested a one-on-one interview with Ronald Reagan because I had something he would want. The Republican headquarters laughed and said, "No dice." Still, there was interest. "What do you have Ronald Reagan would want?" asked headquarters. "A Carter political spot star who wanted to jump into a spot for the Reagan camp," said I. Reagan's people jumped on it. My interview was on. But bring the former Carter supporter, they emphasized, the woman who owned the Ohio coal mine. Other reporters were kept away. Up and down the airplane staircase, my crew and I ran, pulling cable for a live television hookup. I cautioned Nancy Reagan to watch her step and not trip over my TV cables. She smiled. On the parked plane at live interview time, I played host and introduced Ronald and Nancy Reagan to the Ohio coal mine owner. They chatted, I questioned, they answered. Live TV for a good length of time. That 1980 day, Nancy Reagan did for her husband what she would do in their coming White House years and beyond. She encouraged. Her support and advice for Ronald Reagan were obvious to me. 3 months later, Reagan won the White House, and Nancy stayed with Ronald Reagan until his death. On the news Nancy Reagan had died, I reflected on my long-ago interview of the Reagans at Cleveland Airport, and I remembered how loving and supportive she was of her husband. Now the body of Nancy Reagan will be buried next to that of her husband, the president. I'm Leon Bibb.